Hi, everyone. My name is Blaze Bell, and today I want to talk about surviving the holidays. Ah! Yes, silent screaming, screaming into pillows. That's what we got to do. So, I live here in Anchorage, Alaska. I'm a speaker, a transformational life coach, and I have a program called Reclaim Your Badassery for helping other people overcome trauma, addiction, and all those fun things that I've overcome in my life. And of course, healing is a continuous journey and will forever be healing and up leveling. And it's really incredible work. So I'm so glad that you're showing up today for yourself. You should be super proud of yourself just for stepping out of your comfort zone and really being willing to seek some new information. So the holidays can be really challenging for everyone. I think everyone has had stress during holidays, and I know that it is even more challenging for people that have been through really tough times. And I learned that especially in going to 12-step meetings. So I had a really rough addiction. Basically, I went through a traumatic sexual assault and turned to addiction because I didn't have any healthy coping skills at the time. And I just wanted to escape. I was in so much pain. I was incredibly scared. And so I started self-medicating with prescription drugs, thinking it was okay. The doctor said so. And, and then eventually alcohol and all the things. I also had a pretty crippling eating disorder at the same time. So I am now a little over 9 years clean and sober, 9 years free of the eating disorder. So change and healing is possible. But anyway, so when I started going to the meetings, I found out that I wasn't the only one that had a lot of trouble at holidays. And I always wondered what my problem was because I was one of the only people in my family that seemed to get really weird around the holidays, even my birthday. Like, my birthday is coming up in a few weeks, and I guarantee I'm going to feel uncomfortable. Like, thankfully, today I just get uncomfortable. But in years past, it's like I plan a big party because I think birthdays are so exciting. And oh my God, how do we survive another year in this crazy world, especially 2020? But then the day comes and I wake up and I'm like, I feel bad. I feel weird. I don't know why. I just want to stay in bed all day. I don't want to talk to anyone. I'm super uncomfortable. And when I started digging into that, well, it was pretty easy. We go back to our childhood. And for a lot of us, we might have had some really messed up childhoods. And for me, it was my dad who was absent for most of my life, and he's now passed away. But my birthday sometimes was the one time in an entire year that I would hear from him. Or he would send me a present that was like very not age appropriate, like clothes for a toddler when I'm 10 years old, things like that. And it would just be such a mind trip and so disturbing. And so then, of course, every year my birthday rolls around, there's this part of me still, even though he's been dead for over 10 years, 15 years, I still get this weird feeling of like, oh my gosh, am I going to get a phone call? I'm going to get a box in the mail and it's going to really freak me out, So logically, I know that's not going to happen. But my body, I mean, we have cell memory. When we have big things happen in our life, good or bad, some people don't believe there's good or bad. When we have big events happen in our life, traumatizing, challenging, or really fun and exciting, like a wedding or a painful event, we store the memory of those events in our cells. So our body, especially any of us who have gone through being violated physically, we can really disconnect from our bodies. And I don't know if you've experienced that, but I definitely have. And I'm still now at a place in my journey where I'm still trying to reconnect fully to my body because after going through an assault, I mean, I didn't feel safe in my body. Something disgusting happened in my body. And so I was like disgusted by myself in such a twisted way. Excuse me. And so, we disconnect and that's just us trying to protect ourselves. And so I'm trying really hard in this time of my life to be really gentle with myself and go, okay, I understand why we're not fully connected, and I believe that we're going to get there. And I love you, body, and let's be best friends. And, just really kind of nurturing that. So, anyway, there's the cell memory stuff that happens. And you might have felt it on any anniversaries of like a big event where sometimes we almost feel like, oh, I should be remembering something. And that's our body going, I remember this day 3 years ago, XYZ happened. And now we're starting to get these feelings we had back then, sometimes not even consciously knowing why. So I'm just throwing that out there because it's a really normal thing. And you might not be aware that it's normal. And sometimes I feel better when I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one for all the things, because we're all just humans. So as unique as we each are, we do experience a lot of very similar things. So again, a lot of us have gone through weird things in childhood or as teenagers. A lot of times it really does come back to childhood, because those are the things that really get stuck, and they turn into a subconscious situation. And so then we're just acting out on our subconscious mind without recognizing it. And all of a sudden, the holidays come around and we are a mess. And however that looks for you, everybody is different, and some people turn into like the party animal or even the life of the party as their kind of escape. Some people turn into almost a martyr, or like the mother type, where it's just like, don't worry, I'm going to do everything, And you're like, oh, you don't need to do everything. Like, just chill. And they're like, no, I'm not going to chill. But don't worry, everything's taken care of. They're like cooking and cleaning and being kind of, just obnoxious and weird, but thinking like that's their escape. I'm going to control every single thing I can and look like a really, really nice person. Meanwhile, I am internally freaking the bleep out. I don't know why I'm not cussing. I don't know. I'm trying to be polite. Okay, so that's one way. Some people go the other. There's all these, some people are the tough girl. I'm fun, I'm fun, I'm fun, I'm fun, I'm fun, and they're just like, don't want to show any of their emotion. Again, there's nothing wrong with all of these. Like, this is us trying our best to survive. And, but, of course, we want to get to a place where we don't have to try so hard. And so I want to share with you a few things that help me move out of those moments faster, because they still happen. All right. And, okay, so here comes Thanksgiving is coming up this week. And then we've got Christmas bonanza. P.S. My birthday's in between the two. Don't worry, I'll be in my bed acting weird. Anywho, so, we've got all these events now. Right now, this is 2020. So I don't know what you guys are doing for the holidays. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. We've been isolating a lot this past week or two because of COVID. So this year looks very different, which, actually, depending on who you are, it can be more or less stressful. And I was talking to someone recently who's actually really happy because COVID is this amazing excuse and great reason for them to not go to the big family gathering. And for them, they're like, thank you, Lord. They're so relieved. It's like the introvert's dream, kind of. I mean, introverts love their family, but in this case, that person knows that getting everyone in one room, especially with the topics that are going to be coming up this year, there might be fighting and arguing and such high emotion, on top of just the already discomfort from, I don't know, who knows what, what. So there are quite a few people that I think might actually have an easier holiday season this year if they'd always wished they'd had a good out. So, but for other people, they're going to have a harder time because they really, really want to be around family, and might have that urge to drink, use, act out in other ways, just escape. And that's not going to help, not in the long run. And so I want to just give some tips. Okay. All right. Tip number 1. So let's start with some mindfulness techniques. I love mindfulness techniques because they're very easy. they're called practices because we have to remember to do them. That's the hard part. The hard part is remembering that they exist so that we can implement them and help us chill out. But the actual practice itself, they're all very simple. So one is, I'm trying to decide which ones would be best in this situation. So a really common mindfulness technique is 4-7-8 breathing. So you breathe in on 4 counts, out, or you hold it for 7, and then breathe out slowly for 8 counts. And the real magic in this is the time when you're holding your breath for 7 counts. So while you're holding your breath, everything calms down. Your nervous system, your heart rate, it really relaxes your body and shifts your perspective a little bit. So let's just do that together a couple times. So in for 4, hold, and slowly out. Again, in, hold, out. One more time, in, hold, out. Good. And maybe you can even feel some of that calm right now just from doing those 3 beats. And a good thing with mindfulness, a lot of these breathing techniques, you can do them wherever you are. You don't have to leave, you don't have to be super obvious about it. And so that leads me to the breath I like to do for anger. And I actually used to use this quite a bit with my ex. He liked to kind of lecture, and it was very annoying. Um, so I started doing this breathing technique, and it really helped. And so what you do, instead of we hear that like in through the nose, out through the mouth. That's me being like a yoga person. So this is the opposite: in through the mouth, out through the nose. And so you have your teeth together and you just switch up your breathing. So it's in, out, in, out. I mean, I look a little bitchy just when I start doing it. And that's okay, because if I'm mad, that looks already on my face. And so what that does, you'll feel a shift. Because as soon as, once I started remembering, like, do this, I would switch how I was breathing. He's still wah, 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 wah. And all of a sudden, it was almost like an inside joke. And so it would instantly kind of change how I felt, because I would get to do that seething, like, breath. And at the same time think like, oh, I'm doing a thing. He doesn't know. Oh, in one ear, out the other. This is going to be over shortly. So that's a little thing. Again, this is a thing where you can be like around your family, hold your tongue, perhaps. I like the mantra, don't make things worse. Don't make things worse. Don't make things worse. I've had to use that a few times. So, do that breathing, think that mantra, and hope that Aunt Sue moves it along. So that's one of my favorites. And those are the main 2 right now. Maybe at the end, I'll think of another one that would be good. So my next thing I'd love to discuss is true fear versus false fear. So fear is a funny thing. We have this ego, our fear-based side, and it is all about protecting us. The problem is it's still in that caveman brain. So back in caveman times, cave woman, cave people, we had a lot of threats to our survival. So there were saber-toothed tigers running around and boulders falling, or whatever. So we have this part of us that is like, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Anything new that's going on, any new move you make, any new turn you take, you're going to die. So that's what our fear thinks. Unfortunately, it still thinks that, but we're in a completely different world today. There aren't a lot of those survival threats coming up to us each day. So now we have this part of us that truly wants to help us and thinks that it's protecting us, but it's actually really messing with our lives and messing with our heads. So the great thing is this is something we can start to witness, and we can talk to our fear and talk it down and make that loud voice a lot quieter. So we don't want to have no fear, like this idea of fearless. That's a bad idea. Like fearless, that's like a toddler walking into traffic or a sociopath or something. Like there needs to be some awareness, and we want that fear to pop up because for those of us that live in Alaska, there's bears. There might be a moose running by. Like we want to get that hit of adrenaline that goes, I need to get the hell out of here. Now I'm going to run or lift a car, or, all the amazing things that adrenaline can do when it's really actually needed. So we need it there for that 0.001% of our life where we might encounter something that we need to survive. So now we've got the other 99% of life or more where the new things we're doing are not going to hurt anyone. And so, for example, writing a poem, it's like, oh man, I wrote this poem. I really want to read it to my class or at a poetry slam or in front of my family. And all of a sudden that fear pops up because it can tell you're a little nervous and it's something new. And it goes, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. You'll die. And that's how intense that fear can be. And so it's really important that we can recognize it. And, maybe it's don't see that friend, don't see this. That gets into a trickier place, actually, sometimes when we're talking about dealing with other humans. I'll talk about that in a minute because we do want to get really tuned into our gut feelings. But this isn't a gut feeling. This is a brain thing. This is our fear just overreacting. Public speaking, what I'm doing right now. I mean, I was like, I want to record this. I think it's going to be cool. And that voice popped up for this. And it's like, I'm alone in a room. Like nothing bad is going to happen. All I'm doing is trying to share things that have helped me. But that voice still popped up and goes, well, you've never done that before, so something bad's going to happen. And it's like, no, it's not. Actually, something good's going to happen. And so that's what we get to do now. We get to look at our fear and go, hi, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for wanting to protect me, but I do not need you. And you are not allowed to make any of our decisions. Elizabeth Gilbert, she wrote Eat, Pray, Love, but she wrote this other book that's my favorite, one of my favorite books ever. It's called Big Magic, and it's about fear and creativity. And she gives the best examples for this. So she says, imagine you're going on a road trip. Your fear can be there because, again, sometimes we actually need it, very rarely. So it can be there, but it can't sit in the front seat. It can't pick out any of the snacks. It does not get to pick the radio station. Maybe it's not even in the car. Maybe it's in the trunk. Like I picture mine like strapped to the top. Like it doesn't get to make any of our decisions. So we look at it, we thank it for showing up, we understand why it's there, and then we tell it needs to go. You need to go. I do not need you in this situation, and you're actually hurting me by showing up this way. So this is something we're going to do. And you'll start to see it takes a few times because a lot of us have just been reacting to our emotions or reacting as if every emotion we have is an emergency, but it's not. Most emotions pass in 90 seconds, but we don't always give it that time. We immediately react. We find a way to distract ourselves. We find a way to bite back at whatever the thing is. So there's that voice, and we get to quiet it. And now, like I said, I still have those thoughts, but it's like a whisper off in the distance instead of the dominant thought. It is far back there. And I still, if I hear it, I'll talk to it. It probably sounds crazy, but it's made a big difference. So that's just a little bit of information on what is happening in your body and brain when new things pop up. And this isn't necessarily related to the holidays, but I just think it's a really important thing to know about ourselves, especially those of us who have gone through something scary. And, you know, as someone who went through something extremely traumatic and violent and terrorizing, it's taken so long to work through that. And I think in some ways it'll be a part of my healing journey forever. And again, it used to be everything revolved around it. And now it's like back here, but I can still see it out the corner of my eye, you know? And so for those of us that have had an experience like that, it can be really tricky to not be more fearful in general. And so that's why I wanted to share that, the true versus false fear idea, so that we can just start to recognize and start to go, okay, I'm just trying like a chocolate dessert I've never tried. It's going to be okay. I'm just going to go, yeah, whatever it is. All right, cool. Ooh, tapping. This is tapping. It's also known as EFT, emotional freedom technique. And it is the single best healing tool that I have ever encountered, especially for post-traumatic stress disorder. But this is a tool that can be used emotional things, physical things. Like I said, PTSD. I just, that's a big deal to me because I feel like there aren't a lot of things that can really tackle PTSD, and this can. So I'm going to make sure there are links to a few different guided tapping meditations by like experts. And I'm just going to show you something super duper basic that you can use this holiday season for stress or cravings, whatever might come up. All right. Ooh, this is exciting. I love talking about tapping. It's going to seem really strange if you've never seen it or done it. But, you know, I'm a results person and the results are amazing. It's something that's free and it's basic. It's easy. Anyone can do it. And worst case scenario, you feel the same way you did. Best case scenario, your feelings are completely shifted. So it's a combination of neuroscience and acupressure. So there are certain points that you tap while saying the painful thing you're feeling. And again, like the first time I used this, it was for headaches. And then it evolved as I learned about it into something I use for, I mean, I tap almost every day. Every time a uncomfortable feeling comes up, I start doing tapping. So what's interesting about it is you are voicing the negative feelings that you're having, the true feelings. You know, affirmations have a place in the healing journey, but they can be tricky because it feels silly and it's almost like you're lying to yourself if you're saying things that you truly are feeling the absolute opposite of. So this is something that it really takes the power out of the strong emotion. And so what you're looking to do is, or what it just naturally does, is it clears the emotional charge from whatever it is you're experiencing. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. Again, I'll give links to better explanations and more guided tapping meditations for you. And please do them. They're just so incredible. So let's just say you are with your family and you're starting to get super stressed out. So excuse yourself, go into the bathroom and close the door and start tapping. So the first point is inside the eye. So actually, no, the first point is the head. Sorry, I got distracted by having this thing here. Okay, so along your skull, you start. And we're gonna keep it so simple. You're just gonna say one word that you're feeling for the whole round. And of course, in your head, you're gonna be thinking all the thoughts you have about it. Stressed, inside the eye, stressed, outside of the eye, stressed, under the eye, I'm so stressed, above the lip, I'm feeling super anxious. Chin, I am stressing out so hard right now. Collarbone, I've never been this stressed out. Side, I'm super, super stressed. Back to the top of the head. Now that's one round. And like the way I do it now, and I've done it like that and it's helped. You can even do it silently without talking and just be thinking the real thoughts. So here's an example of the real thoughts. And this is what I do now. I just say out loud all the crazy stuff going on in my head. Okay, we're going to bring Aunt Sue back into this. I don't have an Aunt Sue. Hopefully you don't either. This isn't a real person. All right. So here I am excusing myself from the holiday party. Aunt Sue is such a fucking bitch. I hate her so much. How dare she bring that up? Who does she think she is? Everybody thinks she's so nice, and I know she's not. This isn't fair. It isn't fair that I have to deal with her. Why is she so obsessed with making me feel bad? She's a freaking bully. She's rude to me and she's rude to my kids, and I just hate her. She makes me feel like I'm not good enough. And that might be the switch to where you find the actual root of the pain you're feeling. Because yeah, Aunt Sue might really suck, but she wouldn't be so triggering if there wasn't a deeper part of that pain. So now we go into that. She makes me feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not sure if I'm good enough. I'm not good enough. Oh my God, I feel like a loser. I'm such a loser. What if I'm a bad mom? What if everything she's saying about me is true? I feel like shit. Damn it, Aunt Sue. Okay, so that's another round. And I understand like it probably feels really strange to see something presented in that way because we're taught so much to just say positive things and say, I'm so happy. I am la 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 frolicking through the field of flowers. And you know, sometimes you do feel like that. That's awesome. Lean in hard when you feel like that because those feelings are so good. But sometimes we're really pissed off, or sometimes we just feel really bad about ourselves. And we can lean into that too. And by tapping, while we lean into the truth of our feelings, we are clearing the energy. This is energetic work. We are made of energy, all of us, and everything around us. So this is energetic work that's going to clear you, clear you, clear you. And then you can step back into your life in a more autonomous way, being the independent person that you are without all this energetic gunk that's coming in from all sides. And so another practice that goes along with that is cord cutting. We get to cut the energetic cords we've made with other people. And I have another video on this that I'll link to, but just really quickly, there's this belief that everyone we've encountered in our life, we have a cord connecting the two of us, an energetic cord. And the people who have had a really positive impact and the people that have had a really negative impact, we have stronger cords with. And it's important, again, for our independence as a human to cut those cords because we don't want to be clinging on to anyone. And what happens if we are so invested in these other people, either people that we absolutely hate or people that we just love so much, we don't want to be making any choices and decisions in our lives based off of them. We want to be in a clear, energetic space where we make the best decision for ourselves and we can hear our own inner voice that has our best interest in mind. We can feel those gut feelings that are actually true to what we need to be doing. And a lot of us are acting out fear that isn't even ours. And I really urge you to think about this and maybe do some writing on this, on whose fear is this? One thing I've discovered in my healing journey is that I had a lot of fears that are my mom's. They're not even mine. And I, as this loving, I was an only child for 13 years with a single mom. So we had a really codependent relationship. and she was very emotional. And in childhood, she leaned on me a lot. And so I felt like I had to be strong. I can't cry. Like we can't both be crying, just these weird, like, I love my mom so much. She was doing her best, of course. Um, but it had this part of me that's always like, I gotta protect my mom. I have to help my mom. I have to be there for my mom. If you hurt her, I'm gonna be the one to stand up to you, like 9 years old. Don't fuck with my mom. So I guess my cussing thing from earlier went out the window. It's okay. We're all adults here. Earmuffs if you need them. Okay, so standing up for someone else. Okay, the fear. I distracted myself. So all these things, I was like angry at people and afraid of people that I barely knew or didn't know at all. It was all her fear, her anger. And once I actually realized that, I was finally able to release it. And it was like this huge weight was lifted. It was so amazing. And, it wouldn't surprise me if you have some of that as well. Maybe not from a mom, it could be from a friend, a partner, you know. And I think probably the more codependent someone is, the more they're willing to take on other people's pain. And it's actually not nice for you to do that. You're not helping them and you're really hurting yourself. And for you to be able to show up as this amazing parent, partner, etc., you need to be in the most like sovereign, divine, energetically clear, light, strong person you can be. And it's hard to get there if we're carrying the super heavy load of everyone else's pain, because when we take that, it doesn't go away for them. It just gets added to us. So, that's just something to start being aware of and looking at in your own life and getting really honest and asking those questions to yourself. Because again, healing is a personal journey, but I believe in you. And, and I've come so far, and so many people I know have. And I've had just the honor of helping a lot of women in recovery, women who have overcome trauma, and just people who maybe haven't had any of those kind of more extreme experiences, but they just feel a little stuck and lost. Sometimes we feel like we lose ourselves somewhere along the way, and we want someone to help us find our way back home. And that is something that is such an honor for me to do with someone else. And it's not me telling someone what to do. It's me helping them remember who they are, asking the right questions so you remember who you came here to be, because you didn't come here to struggle and be in pain and be broke and be sad. And if that's the experience you're having right now, that means you have forgotten and you have more of your journey to go on, because that person is still inside of you saying, hi, you need to quiet your fear so you can hear me and I can come up and we can live the badass life that we came here to live, in our power, in our strength, in our love. That's who you are. That's the real you, is the love. It's not the fear. It's not the anger. And those can be transmuted. And things like this energetic tapping work is amazing for that. And coming back to that, we can tap on cravings. Say you're starting to crave drinking, using, overeating, things like that. Same thing. Go to the spots. I'm craving sugar. I'm craving sugar. I just want to eat everything. Oh my God. I want to drink, but I don't. And again, I'll have those tapping points linked for you. So stress, cravings, or just general discomfort. Maybe you're like, I'm freaking uncomfortable, but I'm not sure why. Tap on discomfort. Just do any of these practices that can lighten your load so that you can continue to move forward, so you don't get stuck. So I really hope that helps. And I have some other videos and audios that I will have available for you. And you can always reach out to me. blazebell.com is my website. I have a link that is solely for survivors with videos and podcasts and resources, stories, interviews with other survivors and how they've turned their life around and found healing and hope. I also have a page all for about recovery, same type of deal. And I have a group class, Reclaim Your Badassery, just I'm here to be of service and to help in any way I can. So please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me through there. You can find me on social media very easily. I'm just all over the place going, hi, does anybody need anything? So anyway, I love you. I believe in you. We can make it through the holidays. If we made it this far this year, we can keep going for another month and a half. And I'm just so grateful that I got to share this with you today. And I look forward to hearing from you and seeing how else I can help you through this crazy time. So